Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Venators. That's right, we're not talking about the accursed for once. I mean, one could argue, and some Venators certainly do, that they are cursed, but they're not accursed. They're not hungry, they're not primal, they're not outcast sorcerers, or indeed any other kind of creature that has been touched by the Fae, by the outside, by liminal space. No. Venators come into being through contact with the accursed. Typically, that contact is not favourable for them. Maybe the accursed used a spell they witnessed. Maybe the accursed ran straight over a loved one. Maybe the accursed just meddled with fate in a way that did not benefit the person who would eventually become the Venator. Now, not every single interaction started off as negative, because Venators aren't always unrepentant, accursed slayers. Some of them are. Others are just inquisitive. Others are curious. They find out about curses. They find out about magic and they need to know more. They need to learn more. They need to find out about the accursed and how they work, how they tick, how they function. And Venators are born out of that obsession, out of that need that the curse compels within them to find out more, to stop the accursed, to seal them away, to murder them at times. It differs from Venator to Venator. And Venators have plenty of abilities available to them. Through the years, decades, centuries that Venators have existed, they have cobbled together, much as Venators themselves are scraps from all walks of life. They have cobbled together spells, rituals, magical artifacts that they can use to fight, to help track their prey and lock them away if they're not just set on destroying them outright. Venators are incredibly capable, more capable indeed than the accursed are when it comes to ritual magic. Accursed, it could be said, are more spontaneous. They act impulsively. Maybe this is how they became cursed in the first place. The accursed are spells. They lean on their power more than they should. Venators are traditionally more patient than that. Their power goes into rituals, to the point that every single Venator, when created, has access immediately to a ritual, and what's more, their entanglement cost, or qualification, prerequisite to access a ritual, is one less than it would be for an accursed. But here's the rub. At character creation, Venators do not gain access to any spells or motifs, so there's an exchange there. Sweetening the deal for the Venators, they get access to 3 heirlooms at the very beginning of their journey. Magical artifacts they have access to. Maybe they stole them from an accursed, maybe they were awarded them by their particular operation, the equivalent of a family for a Venator, of which there are several operations detailed in the Curseborne Player's Guide, just as there are several more heirlooms detailed in the Curseborne Player's Guide. You can kind of see where this is going. We are setting things up so that if you want to play characters who hunt down the accursed, whether because they're benevolent or malevolent, you can do so and you will have all the tools available to you in the Curseborne Player's Guide. And what's more, Venators are able to use curse dice, just as the accursed do. You start play with 1 held curse die. You gain curse dice when you fulfill one of your obligations to your role path or a contact. You gain curse die the first time the entire crew comes together. You gain a curse die when entering a loophole. Much the same as a cursed function, Venators are very similar. And they can bleed curse dice to activate spells and rituals, or to activate your Venator duty, a special ability only Venators have access to. Now, Venator duties are one of the key elements of playing this kind of creature in Curseborne. You see, every Venator is directly bound to an accursed through a curse. It could come from something the accursed did directly to a Venator, or it could just be the happenstance of being too close to a cruel failure, a damnation trigger, or a spell cast without a controlled sacrifice. Whatever the case, the Venator has a level 5 bond to an accursed that does not count against her normal bond limits. This is significant because a level 5 bond is the kind of thing that's going to grant you a huge enhancement of manipulating, speaking with, charming, or indeed harming that individual. You know this target. You are obsessed with this individual. You know their ins and outs. And while bound, the Venator gains a stacking enhancement on all actions to track, trap, ambush, or attack a bound accursed. While the Venator is bound as part of their duty, she must hunt the accursed or fulfill a duty to satisfy the curse that links them. This duty could be killing, imprisoning, or otherwise neutralizing an accursed. It could be killing or imprisoning a non-accursed supernatural being, saving an innocent victim or victims from an accursed or other supernatural, closing a door to a liminality. All of these things are able to satisfy her duty. But if she doesn't, she gains a status effect. She becomes obsessed. And then things get particularly grim for both the Venator and the accursed with whom her obsession lies. She will feel compelled to seek them out. She will know the general direction and distance that her accursed target happens to be, and the intensity of the duty will drown out all other senses. The thing is, and here is the curse that ties the Venators together, once the duty is exercised, if the source of the obsession is destroyed, the Venator is left empty, bereft, utterly without charge, and slowly but surely the Venator will degrade in power. Their attributes will decline, because once the Venator has taken that first bite of obsession, has become aware of curses and supernatural, they cannot get off that track. They need to forge a new bond. They need to form a new duty. They need to start that obsession all over again. And doing so will stave off the degradation. But for all Venators, it is a slippery slope. You will commit your entire existence to slaying, to hunting, to stalking and trapping your targets, because if you don't, it will spell your own destruction. In the Curseborne Player's Guide, we detail 5 different operations of the Venators. The Arbiters, who try to maintain a sense of peace between the supernatural and other beings. The Nemeses, well, their name kind of speaks for itself. The Ministry of Retribution, the Last Legion, and the Underground. These 5 operations of Venators all operate in different ways, but will sometimes function together, so that you, as players of Curseborne, can play a crew of Venators, each with a different family, each with a different agenda, a different duty, a different form of obsession, and that will steer you instead. Of course, if you've been following Curseborne, you'll know that not all accursed are evil. Not all accursed are unrepentant monsters. Not all accursed are serial-killing, human-sacrificing slashers. But some are. Some are particularly cruel or callous and use magic without a care and leave a trail of devastation in their wake. And it, as is so often the case, other accursed, even of their family, of their lineage, they'll turn a blind eye. They will see it as the cost of doing business. They'll say, well, that's tragic. What the curse, what damnation makes you do. But they don't police their own. And so the Venators, in that respect, become sadly necessary. They have to cut off the more extreme edges, the fringe cases of the accursed, the ones who will make the world a considerably worse place. In some respects, then, you will actually find Venators aligning with more dutiful, more honor-bound accursed, such as the Zeds, the Get of Lyca, various families who want to ensure that the worst excesses of accursed society do not sprawl out of control. Sometimes they'll make common cause with Venators, but they always know in doing so that one day the bullseye might transfer to their back. At which point the hunt is on, and it's all an Accursed can do to evade the Venators. So, we will talk about each of the Venator operations individually as the months go on, just as we went through the families of the Accursed, and indeed we will go through the various new families that exist within the Curseborne Player's Guide 2 to add to our Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed. But for now, I would love to hear your thoughts. What are you anticipating in the Curseborne Player's Guide? What are you most looking forward to? What do you think of the Venators and the possibility of playing them, turning your game of Curseborne on its head so that the Accursed become the monsters you need to stop? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching, and be seeing you.